What is up, my Riverdale fandom? We are back with episode 3, The Watcher in the Woods. Y'all, this was better than the second episode, honestly. I'm just gonna go straight into the major, stuff that you want to know. Yes, Moose and Midge are alive. Came out unscathed, because Moose was able to block her from the bullets, but he did end up in the hospital, which is kind of weird, because when they showed him in the hospital, he was able to move around. I'm just like, did this bullet even... Where's this bullet at? Did they take it out already? Is this a fast procedure? Because normally when people get shot, they don't really move as much. And we're like, is he grazed? Because there's got to be some damage for him to be in the hospital. Part of me thinking they're taking reference to Young Dolph because he recorded a whole new song after he got shot. But come on, Riverdale. Get it together. Now we're just going to go into character by character analysis because a lot of stuff happened this episode. So on Archie's side, we get to see him basically form the Red Circle, which is a vigilante for the town. At first, he hears the news about Moose and Midge. He goes, "It's that saying we have to start something. We need to get a gun." Fred is like, no. We can't be doing that. Don't just let the police handle it. Sheriff Keller over here, he ain't doing nothing. So Archie gets an idea from looking in his comic book and sees this Red Circle and decides to gather all the guys on the football team and form this vigilante group called the Red Circle. Gets this news to Sheriff Keller. He's like, "You can't be doing this." He calls the principal Waddle. I'm like, dang, why you gotta go there with the principal? And he's like, you know what? It's an after-school club. Students shouldn't be feared. They should be banding together to protect each other. I'm like, all right, principal. Okay. All right. That's like the one other adult on the show that actually feels like, okay, this is common sense. A shift, him and Reggie driving around town. Archie gets a call from Ethel, and we think, oh no, Ethel's gonna be next. But thankfully, she is arrived. She talks about this creeper who was driving around circling 3 times and pulled up to her. She was running into the cornfield. Thankfully, Ethel's lied, because I thought we were gonna have the comeback of Justice for Bard, because this was too much. Later in the episode, he gets invited to the lodges for dinner, and Hiram kind of gives him the warning, don't sneak up to Veronica's bedroom, but also he gives them like, okay, if you want to protect the town, you kind of got to enforce the force at hand. And that's when we get the video at the end of the episode with him with the rest of the guys in red hoods, and for him and they're shirtless. I'm like, is there a significance to the shirtlessness? Like, what is going on? While this video is going live, we see Hiram watching, and we're just thinking, okay, he's smiling. Does he have something to do with this? My theory is that he wants Archie to go on this vendetta to the point where he stops caring about Veronica and they end up breaking up. So that's my little prediction there. So we go on to Veronica. She's trying to get in good graces with her dad. Her mom's telling her, no, don't be doing that. He's not trustworthy. This gets back to Hiram because their apartment has thin walls. He's like, you can mess up your relationship with your daughter, but don't try to mess it up with mine. I'm just like, dang, Hermione, what you doing? This is a complete 180. We get to their dinner with all 3 of them, with Archie, and, Hiram calls him into the study, and he's like, oh no, it's just between us 2. See, Hermione, clearly drunk, drinking on her wine, is basically, the princess never gets in the castle. I'm like, dang, wow, Hermione, what has gotten into you? Like, you were our least favorite parent, like, you were low on the list, but now you're just at the bottom of the barrel, dang. Then we cut to Veronica, who acts on her sleuthing instincts, and asks her dad if she could take more of a role in lodge industry, since she's a co-chairperson, or a whatever position that she was on. I can't remember what it was called in season 1. And Hiram agrees to it, and we're just like, okay. So with the lodges, I think Hermione is gonna go on the deep end. We already see that going. She's trying to be loyal to Hiram, but it's kind of turning her on her and biting her in the butt. So definitely, we're gonna see more of those lodges later in the season. Then we cut to Jughead. Jughead, he has his first day at Southside High, and that's where we meet Tony Topaz, who is basically giving him the tour of all of these, the unofficial tour, because he is a serpent by blood, even though he hadn't accepted it. He then goes and tries to get the red and black newspaper open, which I'm like, okay, you're gonna do opposite colors? Like, what is going on? He enlists Tony as a photographer, and then a couple of these little serpents, one of them is named Sweet Pea, asks them to hang out and call out Jughead for basically, you know, asking the serpents for help and not hang out with them. Jughead, you know, makes it clear it's like, that was a one-time thing, I'm done, I'm just trying to stay alive. And we cut to him, you know, end of school late at night, and he gets jumped, basically. First up, Jughead, you are not smart, okay? You over here staying at school late on the south side, knowing well you got people looking to get you. Like, bruh, you're supposed to be the common sense of the group. He ends up telling Betty that he got scuffed with his motorcycle, but he told Tony not to say anything. Next day we see him sitting with Tony and Sweet Pea at lunch, but I'm just like, you didn't see who jumped you? You could have, might as well been Sweet Pea. Like, for real. That's one I honestly think. We're probably not going to find out until like a couple episodes later, because you know Riverdale. Now we cut to Betty and the Coopers. I'm like, dear Lord, this family can't stay out of no trouble. We started with Alice getting a package in the mail that Betty puts next to her while she's writing. And she comes home to find out that it was from the alleged Riverdale stalker, who is naming itself the Black Hood. He missed to the shooting, but also to attacking Thread and killing Miss Grundy. And he labels it as him going after sinners in the town. He calls Fred the adulterer, calls Miss Grundy the predator, and then he leaves Moose and Midge being the drug sexual kids. He proves it by attaching some evidence. He has Fred's wallet, which is still full of his cash, and Miss Grundy's heart-shaped glasses. We're just like, dang, this person ain't afraid of nothing right now. So they call Sheriff Keller, and he's like, okay, we're just gonna take this into evidence. We're just gonna send you a copy. And then Alice is one step ahead and saying, oh, we already made a copy. We already sent it to the printer to put it to tomorrow's story. The mayor's like, oh no, we shouldn't print this. It's gonna scare people. I'm like, you're the worst mayor ever. I mean, Robin Givens, you're a great actress, and that's why I hate your character. So everybody reads the paper the next day, including Polly, who we finally see in this episode. But she's freaking out, saying that, okay, this person's at the Sinners, they're gonna come for me, and because I'm an unwed mother, it's carrying my cousin's twins. I'm like, well, you kind of are the poster child, because not only are you a pregnant teenager, you got pregnant by your distant cousin, so you're by default, you're kind of the next victim. And I'll leave at the end to go to the farm that her and Jason was gonna go to, and we're just like, dang, we only get her for 2 scenes. Is she gonna come back? Side note, I also watched an interview from Entertainment Tonight interviewing Lily Reinhart, and they kind of got at something revolving around the babies, and it might also lead to something that might happen around the birth. So we're just like, oh my god, we're gonna wait till the second half of the season? What is going on? Then we get to her dealing with Kevin. Turns out that Kevin was actually in the woods when he heard the gunshots, but he was cruising. Even though he said, like, okay, I was off on a run. But he's like, you can't be doing this, it's too dangerous, and you're better than that. Kevin's over here like, no, I don't want to get into it. Then we see little Cheryl watch Kevin leave Pops' diner. She calls Betty, and they have a fight, which leads to Kevin saying he can't live like Betty, who's at a perfect pancake world with, you know, am I gonna date Archie? Am I gonna get Jughead? And which is kind of true. Like, Betty, you are so sheltered, honey. Like, honestly, Betty thinks she lives in a picturesque world. She can try and fix everything. I'm like, Betty, no, you don't know the real world, honey. I can tell that there's gonna be problems with her and Jughead. Like, I can't. We had this discussion back in season 1. Favorite and hated moments of this episode. My favorite moment was Archie forming the Red Circle. Veronica for kind of taking a step forward and getting more involved in Lost Industries. My hate moments are kind of like stupid sense moments where it had to be Kevin, mostly because he is somehow around all these crime scenes. You go off with Moose in the woods to make out and you find Jason's body. You go out cruising for random guys and you hear the gunshot that got like Moose. And I'm like, dude, you trying to get killed again? Trying to get killed? What's going on? Also, the dang writers thinking you get us with a alternate scene. We think Kevin's gonna die. I'm like, bruh. Thank God he has more common sense. Like, he went back home. Thank goodness. We're just like, okay, thank God we did not lose Kevin. Everyone would have to go to basically Archie, because even though you formed the Red Circle, which is great, you're kind of thinking over your head. I don't know why these kids think they can be CSI. Like, I don't understand. And then the third one had to go to Jughead, because he gotta think better. He gotta think better, honestly. You on the south side, you staying late at school, knowing they got crappy security measures, and you in bed by yourself. Come on now, get it together. So for next week's promo episode, we see basically everyone running scared, and Betty gets a letter from the Black Hood, and he tells her that he's doing all this for her. I'm like, dang, we possibly got a stalker. And this could lead to the possibility of, okay, this might be the secret brother. But from what we've seen of who got casted, we're like, okay, this may not be him. Could this be a stalker? Could Betty have a different parent, like a dad? Like, what is this? And people are starting to ask, like, could this be Hal Cooper? Could it be covering his tracks? He could have left the package at the Cooper house. So this person is obviously connected to the Coopers. So they know where they live. They know Al's writes for the paper. And they're prime targets. Like, for real, I'm worried about Polly. We're gonna see her later, but I'm worried about Polly and them babies. Then we also are going to see a lot more, people getting in. We're gonna see more Ethel. Thankfully, we didn't lose her this episode, and thankfully, we didn't have anyone else die at the end of the episode. So we're gonna be waiting on a new episode coming up next week. A lot more danger is coming, and I'm extra excited. This is your girl. Peace out. More love, and I'll be back with you next week for your next Riverdale recap.